Hello everyone, and welcome to another GIS lecture video. And this lecture video is going to serve as the kickoff point for our discussion on global navigation satellite systems. Global navigation satellite systems, more broadly known as GNSS. And in America specifically, we typically talk about this in terms of global positioning systems. Or GPS. Right, and so at the highest level, GPS, in case you're not familiar at all with the term, GPS is the sort of combination of components that allow us to have modern navigation technology. So things like Google Maps, right, Navstar, TomTom, right? All these different technologies rely on this idea of global positioning systems to be able to get the location of your position on Earth, right? So GPS, the whole point of GPS is to get the location on Earth, right? We don't think about this too much because our smartphones are inundated with geospatial technology, right? We can just turn on the Google Maps app and we're good to go. But the underlying technology here is this global positioning systems in America, and more broadly, the global navigation satellite systems. So what we're going to talk about in the lecture videos, in the next few lecture videos, are going to be this idea of how GPS works, sort of understanding the components involved and what it actually takes to utilize. And so we're going to start off our talk by sort of briefly introducing the components of GPS. Right, we're not going to get into sort of the mechanical engineering side, but just at a very high level, what sort of broad things do we need in order for GPS to function? We'll talk about sort of how GPS works. Right, and again, this is going to be at a high level. We're going to talk about the idea of trilateration, and the concept of pseudo-range, which these two things, trilateration and pseudo-range, are sort of at the broadest level what is necessary, given the right set of components, to make GPS function. And then we'll talk about sort of why GPS isn't perfect, or put another way, we'll talk about the errors in GPS, right? Ways that GPS can go wrong. Because if you've ever been on Google Maps or Apple Maps and maybe it's given you the wrong direction, maybe it thought your car was facing the wrong way, although facing directions is not a GPS issue, it's a compass issue. But these sort of things that come up from time to time with GPS being wrong, we'll talk about why that happens when we talk about the errors of GPS. And then we'll wrap up our discussion by talking about how we can address some of these errors, or how we improve GPS. And again, I'm using GPS here because that's sort of what most people in the United States are familiar with. But a lot of what we're talking about when we say GPS will also apply more broadly to that GNSS, right? The global, the different systems around the world. So hopefully this all made sense. Again, we're just going to sort of briefly outline these components, and we're going to spend a video or two on each one of these. So if you aren't immediately filled with information, that's okay. We're going to spend time on each of these topics. So hopefully this all made sense. And as always, if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you.